There we go. Okay, and I am going to share my screen here. Oops, let me come back here for a second and get those two. Okay, so we're going to get started here, and we have a couple guests with us, and I know you're very, very busy, so I'll let you say hello. We have Stacy from Legendary Escrow. Hi, Stacy.
Just stopping by to say hello, and then we're going to be setting a taco truck over next Tuesday. Thank you guys for the business, and if you guys have any questions, I'm right next door. And I have business cards over there as well, but thank you so much for everything.
Awesome. Thank you, Stacy. Appreciate you coming in. I saw Melissa here. Is she? There she is. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, everyone. Melissa Duran with Landward Title. I'm happy to see you guys. I have quite a lot of stuff here just to give you just to let you know. So we have wire cutoffs. So when you're closing a transaction with Landward Title, there is a wire cutoff. We're looking at about 2:15, 2:30ish. The docs do have to be in at Landward Title by 2:30. We do electronic recordings. So the way that works is that once we get the original documents, scan them in through the Riverside County Recorder. We have their own little fax machine, and then it goes over into the county recorder. County recorder examines all the documents, and if something looks like they don't like or looks too faded, like a notary seal, they'll reject it and give it back. So, like I said right now, if they find something they don't like and they reject it, they don't continue with the entire documents to see what else is actually missing. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. So if you have that 2:30 limit on the docs, they return it. We have until like about 4-ish for them to make sure we return the documents back to them correctly. Okay, so little things like that does cause an issue, and it does cause a little bit of a delay on your docs closing. So just want to make sure I let you guys know on that. So communication is key when it comes to knowing the documents, knowing what's coming in, at what time, and all that stuff. Normally, I tend to ask them what time the documents come in, and title units really good at letting me know, okay, it came in at 2:45. We kind of miss it, it's okay, we got a leeway, and we were able to get them back, okay? So special recordings, we're still doing those. Please keep in mind that our title searching, examining and productions of our prelims are still being done in-house. We don't outsource anything. Okay, so that's the peace of mind for you, knowing that you're dealing with our searching and production examining team, experts in knowing the designated areas and making sure that everything's complete, whether it's coming with easements, encroachments, egress and egress, corresponding to your preliminary report. So they are the experts in knowing what's going on in that specific area. The other thing we have is we have our Fluid Pro, and we also have our Landward Title Toolbox. Okay, now. Fluid.
You want to stand up there? I don't know if they can hear you.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, was that? All right. Is this okay right here?
I hope so.
Let me in front
Right there. Yeah. Just
Okay.
right there. Perfect.
Sorry, let me put my back against you guys. Okay. So, fluid. So fluid, it's very important for you guys to know that fluid indicates where when you have your transactions open with Landward Title, there's an actual setting in there that gives you the process of what's going on in your title open escrow. Okay, so when it was open, the title prelim has been issued, funds, loans, all that is in there. It is still getting worked on as well. So is it 100%? I'm going to say it's not 100%, but at least it lets you know as an agent when you have the accessibility in the Fluid Pro to know the status of your transaction with Landward Title. So if you haven't seen it and known about, get with me, let me know so I can show you the extra tools that Fluid has. Now that's Fluid. The next one we have is Title Toolbox. Now, Title Toolbox is where you can do profiles as well. You can do your farming as well. You can pull your own phone numbers and emails according to your farm. Okay, so you could farm something, hit the calculate, and it'll give you an estimate of what, if you want phone numbers and emails, and tell you, okay, this is how much it is. And then put your credit card in, and within less than a minute, you'll get an Excel sheet of all phone numbers and emails corresponding to that farm. Okay, so that's how easy that is. Others, we have that, now Melissa, I'm going to give you the Excel sheet. Can you handle the rest? No problem. So send me the email, send me your requirements, your criteria. I'll submit it, and then they'll come back and give us an amount, and we'll square away with you. So there's various ways. So if you don't know which way to go, reach out to me, let me know. That way I can tell you, okay, I would go this way or I would go that way. That's what I'm here for, to help you guys out in either Fluid or Title Toolbox. So a lot of tools that we have available. All right. Also, we have new business cards. Okay, they have been replaced. If you have not made the change, it's no longer at landwoodtitle.com. It's now at landwood.com. So instead of Melissa D at landwoodtitle.com, it's now melissa.duran@landwood.com. I know that was kind of complicated, but business cards are here. Okay. Any questions or concerns? I know there's a lot. No? We will have a training on this. Okay.
Let's
Chris,
get a workshop put together.
Chris is going to be here on the Monday and Tuesday, the last Monday and Tuesday of this month. I will be here those 2 days. Him and I, we're going to be working on farming as well together, making sure you guys know how to use our toolbox, our fluid. So it's going to be a workshop along with Chris. So he's here 1 to 4. I'm going to be here 1 to 4 as well to help you guys all with all that, and the day before as well. So sign up with Chris and sign up with myself so we guys can get you started. Okay? Hi, yes.
Just the farms, is that going to change to farms at landwood.com as well? Get rid of.
Yes. Actually, farms at landwood.com is no longer. It's just customer service at landwood.com now.
Okay.
Great question. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you
Well,
so
thank
much.
you
If have
guys
any
so
questions,
much.
Just message or
Yes,
email
message me,
Melissa.
call
You'll
me,
be
text
good.
me, whichever works for you guys.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you guys so much.
Thanks, Melissa.
Uh-huh.
And let's see, we have just a couple more before I have Darren. I won't keep you too much longer, Darren. Karen, welcome. Karen McMiniman. I'm so sorry. McMiniman from American Home Shield.
Say that one 5 times fast.
All right. Apparently I can't say it once.
I know, right? Good morning, everybody. Karen McMenemy with American Home Shield. Just wanted to give you guys a couple of updates. First is our process for air conditioning expedited service. So I want to make sure you guys know, yes, we are in air conditioning season. It was crazy yesterday. What we do is we will expedite service requests if it's over 105 or if there's elderly people or somebody with health issues in the home. Sometimes it's all 3. So right now, every day is over 105. So if you need to expedite a work order for your client or for your own home, just let me know and I will get it expedited for you. And what that means is we'll get somebody out there within 24 hours. If we cannot get somebody out within that time frame, we will give you what's called outside authorization. Had to do 3 different ones yesterday because we could not get any vendors to get out there. So I know that all 3 had found somebody, you know, and I have a couple of names in my back pocket that I know are pretty big responsive companies. So they found somebody to come out same day. So that was great. But that's how that process works. So if you guys have questions on that, please reach out to me. And then I want to make sure you guys know that you can still add a home warranty for your buyers up to 90 days after close of escrow and get the real estate pricing. I know a lot of people are taking the home warranty out of the RPA right now. And home warranties are a great risk management tool. You guys, it helps protect the sellers in case of litigation. It helps avoid litigation. It helps, protect the buyers as well. So very important to get those home warranties on there, whether or not the seller's paying for it or not. I know a lot of agents have chosen to include it as a closing gift. Some agents have chosen, or some buyers have chosen to pay for it themselves. If you need me to talk to the buyers about the value of a home warranty, if you're trying to explain to them that they should get one, I'm happy to jump in and do that. So please let me know if you guys need me on that, and as well as your own homes. If you need a warranty on your own house, we offer real estate pricing to realtors year after year. So the buyers normally get that real estate pricing the first year, and then it adjusts up the second year, third year, depending on claims, et cetera. With real estate agents, we give you that same real estate pricing for whatever our pricing is for the real estate plan year after year. So reach out to me, let me know. I'll put my information in the chat. And I appreciate you guys so much. It's great to see everybody. Hopefully I'll get to see everybody in person soon as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Appreciate you. Okay, Eric, you want to say hi to the team real quick and then we'll move along?
Good morning, everyone. Eric Wolf at Axia Home Loans. Quickly, because I know we're running probably later. So rates went up at the beginning of the year. They've come back down the last few months. So rates are very attractive. So hopefully that can help get some people off the fence that are having issues or affordability issues possibly with the prices going up. No points, government rates, low mid 2s, no points. And then the jumbo rates have kind of stalled in the low 3s with no points. However, the guidelines on the jumbo loan programs are improving. The big banks still keep their debt to income ratios at 43%. However, we have some other jumbo lenders that have loosened up their guidelines on the debt to income ratio that'll go all the way up to 49.99. So even though the pricing hasn't moved the loan back to like 3 or better, the guidelines are getting better, so more people are qualifying for those jumbo products. Just want to briefly talk about the value of a second opinion. Just over the last, say, 45, 60 days, we've saved a lot of deals that got declined at other lenders, and we're able to get those closed. But we have a lot of buyers in our market that come from out of town with an out of town lender. We all see it, right? A lot of heads nodding. And they don't necessarily, and everyone says, oh, my market's different, but this market is different than a lot of markets. You know, we have lease land, we have quirky condo HOAs, you know, a lot of lenders aren't bringing their appraisals into value. So we've been fortunate to bring our appraisals into value. We have, you know, everyone on our team has over 30 years experience, so they know what we can do and can't do, and we're going to get it structured right up front. But there's no downside to your buyer to get a second opinion. You know, that mortgage inquiry on a credit report doesn't hurt their credit scores at all. You know, every time I'll talk to someone and they're like, oh, my credit score is going to go down. No, mortgage inquiries are coded different than like a car loan or a credit card inquiry. It's not going to ding their credit. All mortgage inquiries appear as one inquiry as long as they're within the same 45-day period of each other. So there literally is no negative, no downside for someone to get a second opinion. And if you've got a buyer with an out-of-town lender, you know, or especially a big bank lender, and it's not a jumbo loan, those big banks, B&A, Chase, that they're not competitive on the non-jumbo stuff pricing wise. So do your client a favor and encourage them to get a second opinion, because we're going to beat the pricing on those non-jumbo products. You know, the big banks still have an advantage on jumbo stuff, but the other stuff, the Fannie Freddie government stuff, they're not that competitive on. They just want to do jumbos. And then, like I said, we're able to do a lot of other things that a lot of these out-of-town lenders can't do. So please, you know, do your client a favor. They'll thank you for it later, because they'll have a better experience typically. So yeah, thank you for everything, though. Thank you.
With inflation looking like it's becoming an issue, what can we expect?
Yeah, I mean, so the numbers today exceeded expectations. If you saw my market update this morning, right? The inflation numbers that came out this morning even blew away what the forecast was by the financial experts. So the expectation is the inflation numbers have to continue to go up this year. The government's been spending crazy amounts of money. They're dumping, you know, so much into the bond market. So that supply is going to drive up rates. I mean, it has to drive up rates at some point. The expectation is rates should stay pretty stable this year. We're seeing some short-term volatility because of everything going on. You know, it's still COVID and everything else that's been impacting the markets. But sometime probably next year, rates are going to start to move up a little bit. You know, it's probably not going to be a skyrocket increase, but rates are going to inch up with inflation. They have. I mean, it's inevitable.
Oh, bye now. Bye now.
Yeah, no, right? I mean, it's, yeah.
Okay.
Rates are still good. Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. I want to get to Darren because I know he's on a tight schedule, and so we will come back and you know, you can ask whatever questions you want. But I just want to welcome our general counsel, and I'll come back to this page. I want to welcome Darren Welsh. Thank you, Darren, for agreeing to be here today with us, and I'll let you address the team.
Hey everybody, how's it going?
Meet us.
It's so good to see you guys. I see you're having office meetings. That's great. Hopefully we can keep that up. So I want to talk about this new fire form that's just come out. Before I do that though, the home warranty person, and she stated that it's a great idea to get a home warranty because it avoids litigation. I can't tell you, I've been doing this so long, that is 100% accurate. There are so many problems that we solve. You know, houses know when they've been sold. I think that's what it comes down to. They get angry, right? They're hurt and they want to know why you left, etc. So they immediately start acting up like a dog when you leave too long, or maybe a kid. And so they break right away. If things you know, Murphy's Law says that the air conditioning has worked for 22 years and it will go out tomorrow. And a home warranty, it is so wonderful. It gives us such a focus of being able to get the warranty people out there to look at these problems instead of just them sitting and festering and getting angry and saying, you guys had to know about this problem. And I'm getting an attorney and I'm coming after you. It is, and even if the warranty only covers some of it, it is just the greatest. I gotta say, home warranties are really one of our best friends in the industry. And if they don't renew, you know, that's relatively okay. I mean, I encourage people to continue to renew, but boy, those first 6 months, statistically, with you guys, if you have, you know, if you haven't heard from a buyer in the first 180 days, you're never going to hear from that buyer again, in my opinion. So let's talk about this new form that just came out. We talked about this when I did the legislative update, if you remember, this form, this rule was changed in the beginning of this year, and we knew it was coming, and now it's been implemented. So basically, this is our new future. So not all of us are going to be selling homes in a high fire area. Some are not. So obviously, if you've got a bunch of business in Big Bear, you know, this is, you're going to live and breathe this stuff. But most of our homes are not going to be in this area. But even if you leave the office you're in and you head out and you go up into the mountains, you're going to get into the trees eventually, and you're going to be in a high fire area. One of the most important things is that we have to determine if the home is in a fire area, right? And that's going to be easier as time marches on. Right now, you're going to be dealing with sellers who have no idea. They've never even heard of this when you tell them that this form, like the TDS, has to be filled out, right? And so there's a couple of tools we've got. You can see this map that Gina put up right there. This is a great tool. It shows the exact areas where the fire hazards are, and also in your NHP reports, they're going to indicate to you if that home is in the area. So if you look at this map here, it's not really going to affect you guys all that much. Obviously, and it's going to be, there'll be hot areas and non-hot areas with the red, a very high fire hazard. And you can see, right, you can see the red zones there. And so, like anything, you guys are tasked with evolving at all times. I mean, can you believe you guys had to go through COVID last year and keep evolving? And you adapted and you did all that, and you know, we had the PED form of getting in and out of homes, and now the PED form is just dropped. What I find amazing is how much knowledge you guys have to learn, and then you drop that knowledge within like 2 years. You don't even need it anymore. I mean, you guys were experts at short sales in 2011, and now you don't hear the word short sale at all. So this is another situation where this one's going to stick with us though. So this is going to be something that's going to be a hot topic depending on where you are. And let me tell you, I think I told you guys in the last meeting, fire and natural disasters in general are on the rise. In 2020, so the United States, I think I told you this last time, I read this interesting article where to have a natural disaster, you have to spend $1 billion, and then, you know, $1 billion and up. And so on average, we have 9 or 10. And in 2020, we had 22. We had 22 natural disasters inside the United States. So we had 100% leap for insurance claims, et cetera. That's going to mean that insurance is going to get more expensive across the board, not only here, but everywhere, because that's how insurance works. It's spread across the entire United States. And so one of the things that's going to become important for us is making sure that your buyer gets their homeowner's insurance lined up before close. If you, in the north, in areas like Lake Tahoe, we're seeing exceptions to homeowners insurance. I'm not kidding you, where the fire is an exception. So you don't have fire insurance unless you pay extra money. That's kind of wild, right? There's a couple of articles where people were declined fire insurance, and therefore then if they don't want to pay the extra money, then they're not going to get the loan. So if you're in a high fire area, what's going to happen is you have to keep our heads up, because we're going to see requests from outsiders, not necessarily from your seller, but it's going to come from the lender. And as we get more sophisticated with this form and the more we talk about it, there's going to be a cottage industry that comes about. And the mortgage lender is going to say, I've seen the fire disclosure. I want this to occur before we close escrow. So similar to an FHA appraisal where they ask you to do some sort of modification, we may very well see that a lender saying, I want the area around the house cleared. This is so brand new that people are going to be confused on it, and we have very limited direction. You know, CAR's pretty good about giving us an example of what to do, etc. And every time, all I have to, in my experience, all I have to do is write my own explanation, and then CAR comes out with their own like 2 Fridays later. So if they don't give us better direction soon, I'll write my own, and then of course CAR will follow up with a better version of it. Right? I created my own PEAT form, and they had one 2 Fridays later. So that's just the way it works. So if you could show the form, we could go through it real quick. And like anything, you know, this is something that as we get going on this, and it's a newer subject, and again, it's not going to be so important for your area, but this is something you want to look at while it's blank, and learn this form on your own before you're sitting in front of your client, et cetera, because it's got a lot of questions that people, I call it the unfortunate, you know, the unfortunate request, because it specifically asks the seller of information that they have about their home. Because one of the things about hardening your home is that the way fires work is that it's the floating embers that are floating through the air. And what they do is they basically spin around, and then they get up inside the bottom of the house and go up in the eaves. And so, the house turns into a vacuum, and it pulls the fire into the attic. And that's why they ask you the specific question about where the eaves have been addressed, whether the gutters are metal, et cetera. These are questions that a lot of sellers are not going to know, or they're not going to want to fill out. And so what happens next is you're going to get a fire hazard form that may not very well be filled out completely. One of the interesting things about the TDS is that if you look at the largest or the highest volume of complaints at the real estate division, and I think it was, I can't remember now, I think it was 2019, the top 10 complaints by the consumer one of them was a blank TDS, meaning there was a section on the TDS that was not filled out. No one caught it. And after the close of escrow, you know, the toilet exploded. They go to the TDS, and the section on toilets, I'm making this up, obviously, was blank. And then they question and say, why, as an agent, did you not tell me that there was a blank? So that's a weird responsibility for us, right? We don't fill out the TDS. We don't even comment on it. But if it's blank, if there's a section that's not filled out, then the real estate division stated that it would be our duty to point out that there's a blank and go back to the seller and ask them to fill it out. And if they refuse, then that information is enough to simply say, hey, we tried, and they didn't answer the question. So that's an unknown, right? And then from there we can move on. So the form's loading.
All right.
So it's only 2 pages, but at the bottom, it's almost diabolical when you look at the information that they're requiring a seller to know. And it's asking, first it's going to ask, we're going to go, well, first it's only properties that are built prior to 2010. So that carves out a lot of people, right? And then moving from there, your seller is going to want to look at that map, and they're going to, if they've ever had an NHD or they're going to get an NHD, it'll be talked about in that section. It specifically states that even if the seller doesn't believe that they're in a fire hazard zone, that it's a good idea to share this information simply as a courtesy, right? And the specific questions they ask in the very first page are you aware of any features that make the home vulnerable? So eaves, soffit, roof ventilation, roof coverings, untreated, combustible landscaping, single pane, non-tempered glass windows. These are questions that are, what I call them is, they're just quite the burden for a seller. And so what we have to do, what we have to remember is that the seller is going to constantly look to you for guidance, right? And it's a very, very difficult subject for someone to look up to you and say, hey, do you think my soffits are hardened enough? You're not going to be able to answer that question. And, the poor seller is hardly going to know that. As time marches on, this form, this subject matter is going to be so much more readily, understood. And the buyer will have dealt with a home hardening disclosure when they purchased a home 2 years ago, right? And then moving from there, they're going to know the lingo and how to talk about it and learn and whatnot. And they may very well, and again, so there's going to be two factors that are going to come in, and you're going to be borrowing money, and lenders are going to come in, they're going to see this form, they're going to want to look at the house, they're going to see the age, et cetera, and they're going to have requests for us. The other thing that's going to happen is insurance companies are going to go to homes, they're going to review homes, and they're going to send a letter to the owner and say, and many of us in the room have gotten these letters where they go and they check the area around your house, and your insurance company writes to you and says, hey, we just did a drive-by and we see this and this and this, and we're going to want you to do this, or we're going to cancel your insurance. I don't know if anybody has ever had that happen, but it's quite common for an insurance company to issue insurance, and then they sort of do it on the fly, and they're quick about it. And then soon thereafter, they will come by and do a review. And then 30 days after close of escrow, you get a letter, especially on an investment property. So if we go down, if you see here, so you look at this form, you can see on the first page, section 3, that's where those questions are requested, right? And again, if this home was worked on and these things were done already, it's not going to be a problem. But those are, I mean, if you've got somebody who's lived in their home for 22 years and you're going to ask them these questions, and they basically have kept their home up, but these specific questions, I think they're going to be very difficult on them. Then the final part is the defensible space requirements. And then here we go again with, we're early in this subject. So this is the kind of thing, like, the seller is meant to declare that there's no local ordinance that is controlling the defensible space law in this area. That's a tough call. I mean, most sellers are not going to understand this and to be able to say this with confidence, right? And there's going to be times when, and you can see section 4B, number 2, where the seller in the last 6 months is stating that they have obtained documentation that there is no local ordinance. So it's a confirmation of a negative, right? The seller has been informed because they talk to the neighbors, the HOA tells them, we're not in a high fire area and there's no local ordinance. Moving from there, then you go into 2 ways. One is going to be that there is an ordinance and the buyer is to obtain the documentation for compliance. Or number 4, the seller will provide it for to the buyer. And that's the end. So those are the 4, either everybody knows that there's no ordinance, B, or number 2, that the seller has confirmed because they received documentation in the last 180 days that there's no ordinance, or there is something controlling the house and it's going to be the buyer's responsibility, or there is something controlling the house and the seller is going to provide it to the buyer. I mean, like, you guys' job isn't hard enough, right? I find this form just to be, so like I said, we're definitely, one of the great things about being in California is you guys have thousands and thousands and thousands of friends that are realtors, And so any confusion on this form is happening times 10,000, right? And so we usually get to the bottom of the operational side of these things and how to do them properly very quickly, because there's so many of us out in the field and we come up against this stuff. I mean, for example, you guys did a wonderful job on showing homes in the PED area. That was amazing. But the next subject we've got right now is I've got people on sellers asking if a buyer has been vaccinated and whether or not, will the buyer show that they've been vaccinated before they come into the home to see it. Difficult subject. CAR has said that that's okay to ask, but it's not that simple, because it moves to, well, who's going to store that information? If we get the proof of vaccination, I don't want you guys putting that in the folder. You're moving into collecting medical records. But you know what? That problem will be solved again, because there's 10,000 of your friends. Everybody in your entire neighborhood is a realtor, and we're all going through the same thing, right? That's going to be the same with this form here. We're going to have some heartache, right? We're going to get last minute requests for there to be a home hardening, modification. Maybe a tree is trimmed or area around the house. Again, if you're in a mountainous area, it's very easy to understand where we are. But we may start to see, what is the definition of fire area, and that we have to watch that map, and we have to wait and see if the powers that be begin to say, no, I know you think you're not in a mountainous area, but because of all these trees and whatever, we want you to trim the area around your home, etc. So there's really nothing to be said more than here it is, right? And one of the greatest things I ever learned from the founder of Pickford Realty, up north from you guys, I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but they're also Berkshire Hathaway, and United Jones Church. And she told me, you always look at a form blank before it's relevant. That's how you learn. If the first time you see a purchase agreement is you're trying to buy a home, you're going to be very stressed out, and you're going to fill out those blanks worrying whether or not you're going to get the home, etc. You should always look at things before they matter in a calm environment. And that's what has to happen here. Look at this form, absorb it into your knowledge, look at those crazy questions they ask, and, get ready. Because if you have a 75-year, my dad turned 82 on Sunday. He's lived in the same house for 100, I think he moved in during the Civil War. I'm kidding. But he raised all 8 of us in the same house. And so, if I pop this in front of my dad, he's going to say, that's going to be a crazy subject. This is a guy who rendered the bathroom to run out of the yard so he could feed his garden with shower water. Pretty sure that's not legal. We'll worry about it when we have to sell that house, right? Isn't that how it goes? And so you want to look at this form, you want to look at those questions, you want to look at the 4 issues at the very bottom of who's going to go check on the local ordinance, etc. And again, once a home is labeled, and it's probably going to be in the hazard disclosure, then we're going to know more, and we're going to know what ordinance is available, etc., right? And if you're farming one area, you're going to have it down pat where this is not a fire area, or that it is, and what work that certain people have done, right? There you go. See, I only bring you guys crazy diabolical problems. Isn't this fun? What's next? I'm going to bring you guys like a wild tiger disclosure where you got to worry about getting mauled on the way to the grocery store.
We might.
Any questions?
We have one. Vicki, want to speak up loudly?
Hi, Darren, it's Vicki Dawson.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
Vicki
so
Dawson.
we had an experience with this document. We had an experience with this document. We ordered the NHD report. It said it was in a fire area. The NHD representative finally told us now we have to attach that fire hardening document to our contract. Well, you're right. The seller didn't know any of those things. The seller went to his insurance company and they said, no, you're not in a high fire area. So we ordered a second NHD report which said, no, you're not in a high fire area. So it caused a lot of confusion. What do we do in a situation like that?
as always, we turn over every stone that we can, right? And eventually in real estate, what we have to do is take a snapshot of what's happening so that everybody 6 months from now can remember how far along we got. We can't fill the forms out. We can't answer the questions. If there's a known unknown, as the recently deceased Rumsfeld said during the first Gulf War, then we just have to be able to, we have to be able to make that part of the record, that in the transaction file, through emails, et cetera, that the buyer was aware that we had a disagreement as to whether or not it was in the fire zone or not. If once everybody knows this information, that, I think it's in the fire zone, you think it's not, the seller says, well, I'm not filling that form out, I don't think I have to. As long as that's memorialized and we put that in the file, then we're going to be fine. And that's what's going to happen. There's going to be situations where, ultimately, what happens with you guys is we have confusion as to who can sign for the trust and whatnot, or there's an LLC that owns the home and whatever. Well, eventually it closes escrow. And once it closes, then title made a decision to issue title insurance. And so it's out of our hands at that point. It's the same here. We just want to always let buyers know things that are bad, right? Knowledge is so powerful. Buyers will close, mortgage companies will fund eventually, for the most part. And so if we get to a dead end like this, we just, hopefully it doesn't wreck the deal. But we basically make a record of what's happening, and that's the end of that. It's like square footage. We often have discrepancies in square footage. It's just the best thing to do is say that there's this information is there's a discrepancy. One person says this, one person says that. The square footage case that made it all the way to the California Supreme Court 3 times from Coldwell Banker, that's what they wanted us to say. They ultimately declared that the buyer should have just been told that this information is potentially incorrect. And, instead of ever saying it's one or the other, we can have a variable. So great question, because this is, we've all had the appraisal that comes in and it's terrible, right? We can't believe how low the appraisal is. We just think, well, the appraiser has no idea what he's talking about. We may have some inspections that come back about fire hazard, and they say, oh yeah, you got to cut down that 100-year-old tree, you got to do this, you got to do that, and it's going to wreck everybody's day. We're going to have an overzealous operation or recommendation as to the house. And we may very well not do those recommendations, because the seller may say, that's crazy, I'm not going to do all that. I think I'm going to get a second opinion. What do we do in that scenario though? We have to tell the next person that is what someone said. Doesn't mean we're going to do it. We just have to let them know that there was an opinion as to this, and bad news. I think I've told you guys this 100 times, but one of the most amazing things about bad news. Well, first of all, CNN makes $1 billion a day, and all they do is tell us bad news, and we watch it every day. We never stop watching it. You'd think we'd watch Mr. Rogers or something to get more positive, but nope. We want to see that the world's ending on a daily basis. Well, one of the coolest things, Domino's Pizza, years ago, remember they used to hustle and say pizza is in your house in 15 minutes or it's free. Remember that? But they kept running people over in the street, so they stopped doing that. You know what they do now? They did an entire test on it, and they tell you when the pizza is going to come to your house, because we want the news, good or bad. And you say, hey, the Super Bowl's on. You're not going to have a pizza at your house for an hour and a half. And you say, okay, I'm going to look at my watch, and my pizza will be here in an hour and a half. People just want the actual facts. And if you tell them bad news about the house, they're going to buy it. They just want to know what's going on. And if I can segue real quick back to the home warranty, one of the things that's happening now is because buyers are so excited, they're waiving their home inspections or et cetera. There's a big difference between having a contingency and then just gaining knowledge. And we always want to encourage a buyer, no matter what, to learn as much as they can about that house. They may very well not have the power at this point to negotiate with the seller to get repairs done, because it's a seller's market beyond belief, but you always want that buyer to have knowledge. You want them to know that somebody said, boy, this one system in the house is potentially going to go soon. Then they can, you know, in a perfect world, they can budget for it, but at least they know, at least they were told this may very well be a problem in the future. I've seen a lot of buyers, you know, making grandiose promises and getting just to get into the deal. And they say, well, what's the point? What's the point of getting an inspection if I'm not going to get any? No, it's always important. Always, always, always important to get an inspection just for knowledge, just so you can know about the house. So just wanted to throw that out there. Did I answer the question in like 500 different ways in a circle?
So in this instance, the seller himself went to the city and talked to them and said, what is it zoned as or whatever. They didn't have any information. So he did fill out the fire hardening disclosure to the best of his knowledge.
Right.
Buyer know, and he says he encouraged the buyer to do their own investigation and their own research regarding the validity of any of these reports. That's all it is. So I don't know how to handle it.
There you go.
Final question. Who has the ultimate authority to determine if it's a fire hazard area? Is it the city, county?
We got 3 NHC reports. 2 said no, 1 said yes.
Yeah, so is there?
Ultimately, it's going to be the local, you know, the local is going to know more than Carson City, Sacramento.
Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, and these things are going to play out very quickly, right? We're going to have, I mean, great question. Guess who's also asking that question? 10,000 realtors in the state of California, right? And so we're going to get more, we're going to get better at this. And the local ordinances will, I mean, people are going to start calling their local officials and saying, am I in the zone or what? And they're going to say, I don't know what's going on. We got to get a task on this. And they're going to go look at it. And again, obviously, if you go into the mountains outside of Fresno, you know, you're going to be in Shaver Lake. You're going to be, you know, you're going to be, it's going to be a very hot topic, you know, downtown Palm Springs. No, but we, you know, it's just evolving and we're going to get wonderful information because as a collective group, that's what we do. You know, I mean, I might be biased, but I think we're in one of the coolest associations in the country. You know, I mean, we have a lot of self-policing. The MLS is an amazing tool of you guys' broker loaded information. I mean, everybody and their mom wants access to MLS. I mean, Zoom and all those guys, not Zoom, Zillow, you know, they use our data against us basically. And, you know, as a group, we pay attention. We are literally investigating real estate on a daily basis. And one of the things we'll learn is whether or not this home has been hardened and if it's in the hardened zone. So it will, you know, just as much as we know the square footage and et cetera, we're going to start to learn of whether or not there's a buffer zone around this house and whether it needs to have a buffer zone. So it's just, we're early on. We're just so early on in this form. And if you look at it, I mean, as soon as you get out of this meeting, when you look at that form, you're going to say, wow, that's crazy. You go down to the page, you know, number 4, and you look at the options that are there. When my seller is going to go get documentation for the buyer to, it's like, ugh, I can't even get my seller to call me back, you know? So anyway, there you go. Hey, but you guys chose this, you know, you guys killed somebody in a past life or what? I don't know why you guys chose this profession. Here we are, right?
Sometimes we ask ourselves that, Darren. Okay, any other questions for Darren? Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Yeah, anytime. I love coming in and talking to you guys.
Well, thank you. We do
So,
appreciate it.
let me back. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good one.
See you later.
There we go. Okay. Now, before we move on to our next special guest here, I do have a few things I want to give out here. And this is just from Mark Stark and Gordon Miles, and it's a congratulations, second quarter, 5-year anniversary with Berkshire Hathaway. And they have a little present, and one is for Mary Mark. Yay, thank you. So appreciate it. And my other one here is George. Here you go, George. Thank you. Very welcome. And I have one for near me too, but I don't see her here. Okay, our next guest, Melissa. I'm so excited. Many of you have talked to her, but you've never seen her face. Melissa Powell, our accounting manager in Palm Springs, and she's come here today to give us a couple of strategies for Skyslope and how best to help and get paid, because she is the guest. Thanks a lot.
So happy to be here. Skyslope, in case you guys ever need help, you can call me. If I can ever come here and teach you one-on-one. A lot of you guys do your own files, and I love when you call me and I can walk you through the steps of how to do it. We have many TCs, not sure if they're here in the office. Sue Driscoll is one of them. She does very well. I've seen some of her past files. She's a good TC to use.
Oh, yeah, for everybody can hear. I'm afraid that they
And
can't.
just in case I taught Patty how to do it, so she can do it.
What do you mean by that, Patty? She can do it.
Patty came to the office in Palm Springs and she wanted to learn one-on-one, and she did great. So she's doing really, really good. And when she needs help, she calls me. Regarding your CDAs, we're kind of going forward and doing a different way.
I did pull it up.
Oh, good. So we have a lot of escrow companies that are, again, they're used to our old way. So I'm kind of highlighting the areas for them so they're easier to see. Again, you'll see it. It'll see here at the very bottom. The check will go to AC, the TCC, and so forth. George Lopez brought it to my attention where escrow normally pays out and pays faster. So we have changed those as well. And again, but he'll see it this way. And then at the bottom, you'll see it get paid with your name and paid right away. I just wanted to at least show you when you go into Skyslope. I'm not sure if we're able to
You want me to go to
there.
Skyslope?
Oh, that'll be so
Sure.
great.
I'll drive.
Oh, that would be awesome.
I hate my back being cheap there.
Don't worry about it. So when you guys have a normal sales price and it changes during the time, a lot of agents forget to change it in Skyslope, and that's what alerts me to change your money. Escrow will call me and say, hey, the CDA is wrong. It's because I'm taking instruction from Skyslope, and the agent will forget to email me or notify me. So it's really important that you change it in Skyslope if the price changes. If you guys are giving any credit for your buyer or seller towards a home warranty, towards a closing cost, please email me, because when you put it in Skyslope, it will not notify me like the price change. So again, if you're going to change, if you go into manage transactions, and then we'll go into, let's just say your file, anyone, search anyone. Lawrence, we'll go into
Lawrence Melissa. He's not here to.
Okay, so this, when we talk, I'm gonna call these our tabs. So when you change the price, you're gonna go to the transaction tab, and you're gonna change it here, right here, and then you're gonna hit next here at the bottom. Okay, if you forget to hit next, it will not change the price. So that's where you change the price. Regarding any referrals, please note it in your commission tab. That's here. This is where you note it if it's 3%, 2.5%. And if you can note it down below, this is, oh yes, here. This is where you'll note any referral, 25% to Coldwell Banker, 50-50 with Gina Teglin. And yeah, exactly. This is where you note it. If you're paying a TCC, please note the TC's name there. Let's see, if you're gonna get a referral, please get their broker W-9. A lot of agents forget to get their broker W-9. If you're doing both sides, this is a big one. You're gonna go to the transaction tab, and right now it's listed as they represent the buyer. Pretend I'm doing the CDA, I'm sending it out to escrow, and I'm gonna send the money, and I'm only basing it off of what I see in Skyslope. If this is not changed to both sides, which is at the transaction tab, let me show you. Let's go down. And you're gonna change this right here to both sides. That's where you'll change it. A lot of agents are forgetting to put the escrow number. I'm digging in your file and pulling it from documents, but this is where you would change it to both sides. Sorry. Oh, good. Escrow number is located right here. Just always make sure you hit next.
And just remember, if it's your listing and now you're bringing the buyer, please don't open another file. It's just accepted contract, and then you're going to open the transaction presentation. Then you'll put right here both listing and purchase. Okay, that tells Melissa we're double ending the transaction, and she knows how to create the CPA accordingly. I know some of us may not understand, well, why do we have to do that? Well, it breaks down to Melissa and preparing the CDA and communicating with escrow, because everything in our company is done on Skyslope. So everything is pulled through there. That's why.
It's like if you're, it's your money. So if it involves your money and you're only going to get half, but you want the full amount, well, make sure you put it in Skyslope, because that is where we're taking instructions from. It's a really big deal if the price has changed and you change it to a different price, and it's not the right number. Again, we're doing the CDAs. It takes a long time. Make sure that the price matches what your addendums and counters or your RPAs are.
And if you give any of your commission away, we need to know that too. Not because we're being nosy, she just needs to mark it on the CDA so escrow knows exactly how to cut the check. So any kind of pertaining to money, and if you're not sure, just reach out to Melissa and she'll help you.
Yeah, I'm here anytime you guys need me. And if you want me to help you, I can teach you how to do Skyslope. So it's really easy. Don't be scared of it. It's very friendly. And then I think that's it.
Any questions? Huh?
Oh, yeah, it's your commission. It's your commission disbursement.
Commission disbursement, yeah. So for those of you who are new to the business, when you open an escrow, Melissa prepares the commission disbursement, and it's like an instruction to escrow saying, here's how you're going to cut the check when escrow closes. So you love that, because one of those checks is going to have your name on it, and it's going to come right to you, and that's exciting.
And the good thing is, right now, we just set up printers at the Indian Wells off of Palm Desert, where all the checks are coming to Palm Springs. So now they get to come to your guys' office instead of floating from courier to courier.
Yeah,
which is really
just
good.
started.
Yeah,
I think
it's a
it's
little
another
bit faster.
She printed our first check yesterday. That was fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll get them faster.
Print the papers, that's fun.
Yeah, relive that.
But it'll be great, because it's
Yeah.
going to speed up the process, so that's great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
Melissa,
you.
for being here. Okay, now let me just finish back to where we are. We've got just a couple more minutes here. So I will show you a couple tricks next week on the VAC. Just a reminder, because now we are Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, part of the national brand. Our listing presentations have been updated to bring in the worldwide stuff. So make sure that if you've got listing presentations put together, make sure you're going in and pulling in the new sheets. Here's or if you haven't, yay, because now you can just order them all right. But in any event, just a reminder, make sure you get those. If you have any questions, marketing is right at your fingertips, and I think, is it this week? Yes, this week, this Thursday, Jasmine will be here.
Yes.
From 1 to 4. Oh, okay. Yes, on the 15th. That's, this Thursday.
And I think I have a couple of spots still available.
Yes. So So if you have some marketing questions, maybe you want your branding done, maybe you're not sure about how to put together your listing presentation, see Imelda for a time slot to meet with Jasmine, and she'll make sure you're taken care of. And then today on Facebook Live, if he's not logged in to see Mark start, you're missing out. He is covering some really great business strategy for all businesses, not just real estate. I mean, he's incredible when it comes to his thought process, his mindset. And one of the things he wants to do is help you build such a big business that it could be a saleable business in the future, and then you can actually retire and go lay on the beach, right? I don't know too many of those who ever retire, but you know, it does happen. But he's talking today about your exit strategy, which I think is pretty interesting for you know, a CEO to be talking about. But it's a great topic. So today at 1:30, if you've never logged in, it's facebook.com/MarkStartLive. And I would log in, and if you can't see it for whatever reason, just go back to his Facebook page because they're all recorded. And he's still putting out some killer videos. Just so you know, they're about 15 minutes. So they're not an hour long because agents' feedback was, we don't have time to sit through these. So he cut them down to about 15 minutes. So they're pretty quick and easy to watch. And then this week I am taking off Wednesday and Thursday, but I will be around just letting you know. And of course, we already talked about Jasmine being here on Thursday. Next Tuesday, we mentioned the Taco Bar is going to be here. Palm Desert and Indian Wells are going to be together here, and it's going to be really fun. So I hope you will all RSVP to Imelda. It'll be after our meeting at 11 o'clock. And you know what? It's just all about having fun. You know, Gordon just wanted to do something special and bring everybody back together and just start getting back into having fun and making money and all that good stuff. So here we are. And so be here next Tuesday for that. And then a couple quick announcements that I skipped back here. Wanted to welcome, I think we announced Lee and Artie last time, but there's Richard and Robin. Say hello to Richard and Robin. They just moved over here, so we're happy to have you. And then Chris Berger also just moved over here. Bill Beasley just got his license, so I'm sure you'll all welcome everybody to our company, and we're glad you're here. Imelda, did you want to make any quick announcements?
Just for July 27th, Chris will be here for the one-on-one. They still have a couple of spots available if you want to RSVP for that. And then also just touching on the food for next week, I need an actual head count, so if you guys would RSVP.
I'll be here.
Just see me on your way out, so you can write your name down.
Awesome. And do you have a sign up list? So yes, maybe I can just sign up there on the way out. There's legibly okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Any questions? But one, before we get into our potluck, there's a lot of good looking food back there, man. Melissa, I hope you can join us. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, no plugs or wants, then thank you all for everything that you do. Oh, Angie.
If I can mention about my new listing in Indian, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, is still available, but there is no one. It's $499 in the gated community of forget the community right there in Monroe and Indio. But well.
Okay.
Well, 2,500 square feet and I just closed it yesterday in a condo. It's available for rent long term. You can anybody listening.
Where's the condo?
It's in Indian Palm, Culture Club, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, fully furnished. Fully furnished.
What? Yeah. How much is it?
She wants $19.80
Okay.
for rent. And it, you know, you have the golf, tennis, pool, clubhouse, everything.
I might have somebody for you.
Yes, we're looking for someone. Hi, I have a listing, I live in Johnson, I have a listing in Washington Cove, a single home, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, large size pool in the backyard, saltwater pool. It's on Eisenhower. I'll be holding an open house this Saturday. Been on the market 1 week. They've done a lot of upgrades to it. They have tile flooring in the living area. They have wood flooring in the bedroom. They have triple pane windows, so you actually have no road noise
any other plugs and wants? Let's eat, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Gina. Have a good day.
Thank you, Rolanda.
Hi, Gina.
Thanks, Gina.
Thank you, Gina.
Thank you, Mary Ann.